I do not have a dual appointment. I'm solely in the supply chain and information management group here in the D'Amore-McKim School of Business. But I am going to be able to not say anything about multi-dimensionality because Chris has already covered that in terms of networks. And so Nancy was kind enough to put me after Chris so that that sort of network perspective that I'm also taking, that you heard alluded to earlier when we were talking with Alan about his research, I don't have to cover quite as much. But my research actually going forward is going to fit more in the sustainability area. And because I had a class conflict earlier, I wasn't earlier, and Nancy was kind enough to put me right after Chris, which actually worked out very, very well. But we do have the Costas Center here at Northeastern, and there's a big focus right now on community resilience. And one of the multi-dimensional networks that I'm interested in studying is something called the Public Safety Network. And it's multi-dimensional for a couple of reasons. One is because what Chris alluded to earlier, which is there are different kinds of entities along the network. And so you have artifacts, you have what I'm calling agents, but you also have arrangements between the agents that need to take place. And that's where governance comes in, and so this research also falls into the governance category as well. But right now, the practitioner-based literature is finding it difficult to actually properly measure resilience. And so part of what I need to accomplish is to have a network perspective on community resilience, because I believe that having a network perspective on any sort of open system in a complex environment is a helpful way to frame the conversation. And so these are the typical measures that you might see if you're looking at material from the United Nations, or if you're looking at environmental sustainability kind of research. These are the typical set of dimensions that you might see for environmental or community or societal-based resilience. We know a fair amount about individual resilience, so grit, resourcefulness, emotional intelligence, fortitude, looking at connectedness, social identity, as well as the ability to empathize or think about the other, as well as having a future orientation, thinking about future time episodes and how that helps a person to be individually resilient. And so the one question is, can we sort of extrapolate up, or can we scale up those measures or those factors at the community level? And from my perspective as an information system person, can we make use of information systems to help in that scale up? So Jeff Howe is here, started off at Wired Magazine, and now he's here as one of our faculty members, and he came up with the crowdsourcing definition, which I think is fairly well known at the moment, but it basically says that we don't have enough resource, or we don't have enough inputs within our closed network, and therefore we need to have an open network, and therefore gain resource, gain ideas, stimulate innovation, creativity, what have you, by engaging external parties. And so in this regard, the external parties are actually private citizens, because what I'm talking about is crowdsourcing public safety. The professionals don't have enough resources, they don't have enough information to effectively keep us safe, and therefore how can those professional public safety networks engage citizens in the networks that they have in order to crowdsource public safety? If you're interested in the history of policing here in this country, we can talk about it during the Q&A, but we see that the ebb and flow of how professional public safety professionals, utilize citizens and utilize technology. And we're going through another one of these shifts where we're moving from a high degree of automation, meaning predictive analytics for crime statistics, heat mapping for crime statistics, and trying to do predictive analysis there, to re-engaging the citizens. And so public safety professionals are trying to figure out how best to make use of citizens, and so I want to step into that activity. I want to step into those questions, not just theoretically from a network perspective, but also practically in terms of solving problems around public safety. So you can think about things that or crowdsourcing efforts that are currently engaged in. So this is FEMA. They have a HERO program where they're trying to engage citizens for preparedness, for disaster preparedness. And in particular, there's a whole community, a whole network of individuals that are focused on community emergency response. And so these are registered individuals, they volunteered their time, and so this is one of these networks that sort of the official public safety professionals are trying to engage. here in the Boston area, we have a program that's been refashioned under See Something, Say Something, because they receive federal funding for doing that, repositioning. But you can also think about the American Red Cross. I've had conversations with the Massachusetts American Red Cross branch, and they had some interesting views on their mobile applications and their registered base and their network of volunteers. And in particular, one of the things they're struggling with is that there's a bimodal distribution for the age of their volunteers. And so they have really old volunteers and they have really young volunteers, and they're trying to deploy mobile applications to track their activities, to do crowdsourcing for information. Wisdom of Crowd falls in here. And they're having some difficulty in terms of technology adoption and getting that crowdsourced information. So Chris has done a wonderful job already talking about why a network perspective matters, and so I'll skip past this. The dimensions that anyone who is looking at systems, open systems in general, they always have to think about people, process, and technology. And so at a high level, the variety of nodes and activities that I'm looking at for my research fall under those categories of people, process, and technology. But in addition, whenever you think about crisis management, community resilience, you also have to have a time dimension, much like Chris had mentioned earlier. And so the way we think about the time dimension in crisis management, emergency management, is before the incident, while the incident is in motion in real time, and then after the incident during a recovery period, right? And so we're thinking about a hurricane, Sandy is coming, we get alert, Sandy is in operation at the moment. How do we respond to the hurricane in motion? How might we use professional networks as well as citizen networks to respond to the variety of impacts for Hurricane Sandy? And then after Hurricane Sandy is over, how quickly can we recover? How quickly can we get back to normal functioning? How quickly do the schools open up? How quickly do the businesses open up? How quickly does the library open up, which ends up being an important dimension of community resilience in many communities. But in any event, you have to think about the variety of factors that would feed into improving community resilience. And so for me, I'm particularly interested in community resilience, but I get to community resilience because I'm an information system person. I get to community resilience by way of situation awareness. And so the next round of research for me, and I am still in the meta-analysis stage, I'm still in the literature review stage, I'm still in the stage where I'm looking for collaborators. But for me, I get to community resilience by improving the capability within the community to do situation awareness. And situation awareness breaks out into two parts. Those of you who may be interested in sort of sense-making, Carl Weick, Man Gulch disaster, your organizational design kind of folks will understand at least one piece of situation awareness, which is sense-making. So how do I take in inputs from my environment to make sense of what is really happening in real time? And then the other part of situation awareness is actual role taking. So it's sense making, what's going on. Role taking is what is my response? What is my responsibility to what's going on in real time? And how can we use information systems to help us get a little closer to that, to improve that capability? But based upon reviews that I've done so far, one of the major factors there that we're looking at, and by we I mean myself and a couple of other researchers that are at other institutions. Digital fluency, so that is what is my capability of actually making use of information system artifacts. And so digital fluency for me ends up being a major factor for situation awareness, which ends up being a major factor for community resilience. And so there are a number of other factors, and I've tried to hone down the factors that I think I can actually create an intervention or an experiment on. So you could probably think about, well, there's probably a whole lot of other factors that, income factors, demographic factors that might go into community resilience. Some things I can change, some things I can't in terms of social science experimentation. So I've focused on those factors that I think I can potentially have an intervention and make a difference as we move from antecedents to activities and out to actual outcomes. So that's the framing that I have right now. And as I do more literature review, that framing will potentially change. But again, it's to take a network perspective on this particular kind of problem. And there are a number of social problems, information problems, data quality problems as well that I need to investigate. So I'm going through the process of doing all the literature to find out what exactly we know about each of these problems. So really simply, can we build information systems to help us to engage heroes? Can we build information systems to help us to crowdsource public safety? Can we build information systems to help us to build community resilience, or the community resilience capability? So those are the problems that I'm looking at, and engaging American Red Cross, engaging folks here at the Costas Institute, particularly in the areas of community resilience, and also thinking about potentially stepping into the privacy versus security debate, also again using a network perspective because it is multidimensional. So I think I'll keep it there, and then we can have a little bit more time for Q&A. And that's who I am, and my contact information is there.